Hello, TikTok world. This is House Shrink with another one of my unique presentations on the psychology of living. So today, another very exciting topic, but I'm going to wait till people start showing up so I can then talk about it and let you ask some questions and the usual thing that we do. We have thousands of people showing up now. Every time I do it, it's just amazing, really, really exciting and really wonderful. So as people start coming in, as they usually do, then I'll talk a little bit about what I'm going to be doing and what this is all about and why I'm going to be talking about this subject. Okay, so come on, start coming in, and I will let you know what the topic is going to be. I think you're going to like it, and it's unusual, and it's not something that you're going to find anywhere else. Because as you know, things that I talk about are quite unique. I'm a clinical psychologist, and here I am House Shrink. And then at my YouTube channel, I am Dr. Mario Martinez. You can go there and watch all my videos, the ones that are longer than 60 minutes or 60 seconds. And then you follow there and follow here. So we're going to have a moderated presentation here so that we can keep, hi Lisa, make sure that if you just joined us and if you're not following, go ahead and follow and share. So what I want you to do is to follow my channel and share it, to expand it. We have several thousand people when you do that. So they're able to get a lot of information and a lot of good stuff. So hello everybody. So they're coming in, Kate's coming in. Make sure that you follow the host and share the video. By the way, you can now share this video with your social media. You can share it with Facebook, you can with Instagram or whatever you have, so that other people will know about it. We wanted to expand up to 10,000 at least, so that I can provide more information and more services for you. Right now, for example, I can do more than 60 seconds because of the number of followers that I have. So that's how TikTok works. So the more followers, the more service to you. Plus, you'll be aware of when I'm doing these presentations and you can join or not. So make sure that you follow the host and share. Okay, now, the usual ritual. I'm listening to Indian bamboo flute, my Hollister t-shirt. I'm not getting paid for this, I just do it because I like Hollisters. Burning some Tibetan rope incense. Oh, thank you, I like the paintings. Yeah, that's the, this one is called Samson's Betrayal. It says Samson there, and it's made from negative space. And then there's some others back there. That's the Cherokee Aviator. And back there, Maidens of Lavender Hill. And I've done some presentations on some of my work, but you can go to my website, biocognitive.com, and it's on my page here on House Shrink, and you can just link there, biocognitive.com, and I have a whole gallery of paintings that I have. Some are for sale, some are not. I even have posters for people who can't afford the paintings. So go there. My German? No, I'm not. I'm Spanish. My father was from Spain. But I've been to Germany, and I love Germany. I've been to Cologne and a few other places. So welcome, but make sure that you follow the host and that you also share. Share this with your social media, which we know you can do now. But make sure that you're following the host. Okay, so the topic for today. The topic for today is your moral self. Do you have a moral compass? This is not about self-righteousness. It's about, do you have a moral compass? And I'm going to tell you why. The immune system has a moral system. The immune system has morals. And I'm going to be explaining this as I go along. I'm waiting for more people to come in to make sure that they know what I'm talking about, but also so that that you can follow the host. Make sure that you follow the host and that you also share this with your social media. There's a way to do it. Just go back there and it'll show you how you can share. So you want to get this to be organic, so a lot of people can learn from it. Okay, as you know, those of you who follow me, I'm a clinical psychologist, neuropsychologist, and I specialize in how the social and especially cultural beliefs affect the immune, nervous, and endocrine system. So that's called psychoneuroimmunology. And then I'll be talking about that and letting you know why we have morals and why it's important to have morals. And that the immune system and the brain have morals. And your biology is going to be affected by your morals. So for example, let me start with what science has to say about that. Some people say, well, we're born without morals, and it's not that we're born with or without morals. We're born with a propensity, with a possibility, design, to be social, to be just, to be fair, and to be empathic. Even infants, I'll talk about that, how infants, the research. But let me give you some examples of how our biology is related to our emotions, and our emotions are related to our morals. When you cry, or when a baby cries, there are three kinds of tears. One is called the basal tear, which is just a secretion of some fluids when your eyes get dry. And that happens, it has some chemicals and everything. Another one is a fear or a reflex that has to do with fear, or it has to do with joy. And what happens is that if you have tears when you're having pain, those tears are releasing neurotransmitters and are releasing painkillers to help with the pain. If you're having tears of joy, you're releasing oxytocin, your serotonin, endorphins, and other things that make you feel good. Tears of sadness are different. So you see, even the tears have something to do with your, what are the morals? Morals is the standard of living that you have, the compass that you have. And unfortunately, we're taught, not me, fortunately I wasn't taught that, but you, probably those who you were millennials and younger, are taught what's called postmodernism. They don't tell you, I'm teaching postmodernism. They just teach you the pedagogic principles of postmodernism. And this is what they do. Postmodernism says, well, our social system has failed. We really haven't gotten anywhere. There's really no such thing as a truth. There's really no such thing as morals. You do whatever you need to do, and it's all relative. Also, they tell you that you don't have any kind of free will. So you're a victim of your circumstances. You're a victim. Just things happen to you. You want to kill somebody? Well, it's your biology. There's nothing you could do. I'm not exaggerating. These people think that way. So it's very important. So what happens then is you learn that you don't have to take responsibility for your actions. You do something, oh, well, that's how it is. I'm a victim. I had a bad childhood, so I'm a bully now. That's what I learned. That is royal BS. And I don't mean Bachelor of Science. I mean the other one. So if you just join, I'm going to be talking about moral self, the moral self. And I'm going to talk about how the immune system responds to the moral self, how our cultures teach us, and how you have to have a moral compass. If you don't, you're lost. And your health will not be great. So I'll be explaining that. So if you just join, the title of the presentation today, it's about your moral self. A lot of my university teachers are like that. They teach this way. You're right. They teach you postmodernism because that's what they were taught. Postmodernism and social constructivism are the two cancers of our culture. The education system has failed us and has failed your children miserably with the shit that they're teaching. Not related to any biology or developmental psychology. It's just social construction systems based on politically correct and what feels right rather than what's right. So what I'm going to be talking about is the morals. What else is important to understand? Laughter. I'm building here so you'll see that we're moral beings. I'll be mentioning laughter. I've talked about tears. And then I'm going to talk about infants when they're born. When infants are born, even within just a few days, a lot of experiments have been done. One, the infant will cry when another infant cries. And it was thought, well, it's got to be imitation. So what they did is they recorded the infant crying and they played the infant's own crying. They didn't cry. They only cried when another one was crying. They recorded another child crying and the infant did not cry to the recording. So it's an in vivo thing. And that's what Hoffman and other researchers call the precursors of empathy, which means that we have a possibility, a propensity to have empathy for others. Sociopaths never learn that, and sociopaths don't have any empathy for anybody, not even themselves, because they have a self-esteem problem. But most normal people have the propensity for empathy. That needs to be cultivated. If you've been abused and if you have been mistreated and you have been betrayed, it's very difficult to build that. But eventually you can. I've worked with the worst people in the world. I worked with a prison system, with a place of maximum security psychiatric, and there are people that can be helped. There are others that cannot be helped or don't want to be helped. But the point here is to look at the people that want to be helped. What's happening with our group here, because we're creating a community of wellness, is we're getting more and more intelligent people who are coming here and not expecting me to shake my butt, but they're expecting me to shake their brain. And that's what we're going to be doing. The clowns are going away. We had a lot of clowns, so we started a system where it's kind of funny because that's really funny because we have the clown warning. No, sociopaths are not born that way. It's not clear whether it's nurture or nature, but sociopaths, in most cases, learn to be sociopaths. In other cases, even early in the brain, it shows when you do functional MRIs that they don't have the capacity to respond. But that doesn't mean that you don't make them responsible for their actions. Sociopaths can be taught, a small percentage only, but I've worked with sociopaths. Some have changed, some have not. So it's a combination. It's never one or the other. We're mind-body culture. It's not this or that. It's a co-emergence of the three. Anyway, getting back to the morals. Things like, for example, laughter. Laughter has a different psychoneurological response if it's real, as opposed to if it's a nervous laughter or just laughing because it's a social thing to do. I came out of the rain. Oh yeah, so did I. Nothing funny about that. It's a way of reducing anxiety. That's social laughter. That's not really that good for you. Or somebody looks at you and they say something funny and they laugh and you have to laugh. I don't laugh. It's not funny. I don't laugh. Just look at them that way. What you're doing is you're shaping the behavior that you're not going to be going to a place where everything is laughter. And you notice when people get together, they laugh and laugh and laugh about nothing because it's a way of reducing their anxiety. Now, let's look at what infants do and the way they respond. A young child, even 3-4 years old, studies have been done that they can tell the difference between the laughter of two strangers and the laughter of two people who know each other. So you see, we're predisposed for pro-social, no bullshit kind of behavior. And our cultures teach us that, let's see, he lies so good he could pass a detector. Talking about your son, well, here's what happens. A lie detector test was developed for criminals, of course. And many criminals will, if they lie, you can catch the heart rhythm change or the other kinds of measures of biofeedback that they do with the skin resistance and other things. But there's some sociopaths who can pass the test because they really believe their own delusions. They really believe them. And the belief system is what does it. So Ekman and other people that have done work with research, they are the ones who actually work with the FBI and other organizations to develop the polygraph. But it's very interesting. Even the people who are criminals, let's say they're asking them questions about a crime and they choose to confess. The moment that they confess, their physiology changes, the blood pressure drops, their heart rate gets normal again, because they're being in tune with their truth, with the truth. Do you think hormones play a key role into the moral compass? No, it's the other way around. The moral compass creates hormones, not the other way around. We're not robots. See, that's another postmodernist bullshit. We're not robots. We're human beings with a sense of what's right and wrong. We have a sense of will. We can make decisions for ourselves. So we're not controlled by our hormones. Even when you have menopause, even when you're having your menstrual, the hormones are coming out, but the way that you interpret them is up to you. An example of menopause. Let me talk about menopause. Women in some countries consider menopause to be a big problem. They'll got to go through menopause and their self-esteem drops, their libido drops. when they have the hot flashes. In some countries they call it the shames, and shame causes inflammation. So those women, shame causes inflammation. Look how the immune system has morals. Those women have more pain, lower self-esteem, lower sexual drive, and more need for hormone replacement than women in some of the Asian countries, especially in Japan and other countries. In Japan, they call it konenki, which means a second start, and some of them call it the second spring. And women there actually increase their self-esteem, become a wisdom model for the rest of women, and they don't have those issues. So you see how the immune system can tell the difference? Okay, we got the first clown here. So I think you got one warning and another one, and you're done. You got a clown warning. The ones who are really, really stupid are going to be blocked. The ones who just try to be a little funny, then we'll give you a clown warning. And if you keep it up, you're done. Why? Because you're disrespecting this audience and you're disrespecting me. Here I am giving you things that are good for your life. And here's an audience that wanting to learn about you, about what's going on in your life. And these idiots come on and they try to be funny because they don't have any brains. They just want to be funny and be liked. Are sociopaths and people like ASPD? What do you mean by ASPD? I don't like acronyms too much, but tell me, what is that? Attention, what ASPD? Clarify that for me. So anyway, again, the clowns are beginning to sneak up, and you're getting clown warnings. The second one, you're done. You're out of here. If you have legitimate questions, I'll answer them for you. But what I want you to do right now is that I want you to follow the host, share, and then tomorrow you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Mario Martinez, and you can see this whole video plus another 200 videos. So make sure that you follow the host. Owo Paui Wolf, just follow the host. Wonderful. Gold Dash, antisocial personality disorder. Okay, antisocial personality disorder is obviously a personality disorder, and what it means is that these people have they don't have morals. They don't have very good morals. They're basically sociopaths. They used to be called psychopaths, but now they're called sociopaths. And these people either never develop or don't want to develop a sense of empathy, a sense of compassion, a sense of what's just. And an antisocial personality would be someone that is usually a criminal. They abuse drugs. They abuse people. They participate in things that are highly unethical. And that is a personality disorder. Very, very poor prognosis, but still some can be helped. Okay? All right, now, so we keep going here. Make sure that you follow. Just follow the host, which is great. Kikimori. Yes, but kanenki is also another word that's used for the second chance. And in China, also another Asian country where the menopause is a change for a second spring or a second beginning, rather than something that is aging and all the negativity that it has in other countries. So yes, if you're from another country, let me know if you're serious. If you're not, don't tell me you're from Mars or anything like that, because then you'll be muted. But if you're from another country, legitimate, let me know. I'm going to drink some water while you follow the host and share. Okay, so the topic, your moral self. What you want to do is you want to develop a sense of what is right and what is wrong, what is just, what is equitable, what is truth. Do you think narcolepsy can be caused from trauma? Yes, it can. It's not always the case, but narcolepsy is people just fall asleep without any notice. What do morals mean exactly? Is it different between right and wrong? This is a really good question because you're not taught anything. It's more than right and wrong. Morals means that you have an internal system, an internal compass that guides you in a situation where you have to be honorable and you choose to be dishonorable. In a situation where you have an opportunity to be compassionate and you choose to be insensitive. an opportunity that you choose to be empathic, to be just, to be fair, and you choose the opposite. So it's more than just right and wrong. It's a pattern of behaviors that allows you to be pro-social instead of anti-social, that allows you to be a decent human being instead of an indecent human being, a person with a sense of principles rather than a person without principles. So you see, it's more than just right and wrong. And that's what I'm developing here. Are there basic instincts? They're very few. Most of it is learned. When you're born, you have the moral reflex and other things, but then later that just passes on. And we are born only with two fears: the fear of snakes and the fear of spiders. Everything else is learned. Even the cliff is learned, that I talked about later. If you want me to explain about the cliff, I'll explain it. But it's all about choice. Because in postmodernism and social constructivism, they tell you that you don't have a choice. You don't have agency. Agency is your action toward a conscious action. So here's what, I'll give you an example. The latest research, which is really bad research, but they think that they know what they're doing. What they do is they will hook people up to heart and to brain waves and to also, they do functional MRI scanning. And they say before a person makes a conscious decision, the brain is already making a decision. So therefore, you have no free will. You are a product of your biology. That is total BS. Let me tell you why. When you're going to make a decision, the brain does a pre-decision making process, a neuropsychological process for you to decide. It doesn't say, okay, you're deciding, hey, you're a robot. It doesn't work that way. But they use that to argue that you have no free will. You have to have a hell of a lot of faith in randomness to believe that you are just a product of your biology and you're just walking around as a robot. And what you did here, well, it's my biology. But what it does is it takes you away from taking responsibility for yourself. And when you have a moral compass, you take responsibility. You have the capacity to apologize because you're taking responsibility for your action and say, well, I'm sorry, that's just how it goes. That's who I am. That's who I am is a way of disowning agency. Is it normal to have random thoughts of violence? Yes, it is normal. And I'll tell you why. We all have negative thoughts. It comes from the limbic system, from the area of the brain that's called the reptile brain or the more primitive brain. The amygdala, that part of the brain, is the one that responds to fear and responds to anger and so forth. And we have those thoughts because we come from a primitive over 150,000 years where all you did was to fight or to fornicate or to sleep, and that was it. So those thoughts epigenetically are passed on. They're still there. When they come, and here's the important thing, so I'm glad you asked that question. It's really brilliant that you asked that question. Because if you have these thoughts and you think, I have bad thoughts, well, I guess I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to be bad because I have no control. You can't control what you think, but you can control the way you react to what you think. So it's very, very important you see that. Very important that you see that. And I have books. I have, as those of you who follow me already know, that I have a couple of bestsellers, The Mind-Body Code, The Mind-Body Self, and you can get them at Amazon. But what I would like you to do is to make sure that you follow the host here, those of you who are coming in, and that you share this video with others in your social media. TikTok has a setup where you can go to social media. Okay, now, I'm missing some of the questions, of course, because I'm trying to answer one at a time for you. And Samantha's monitoring, so if I miss one, she'll put it back up. And how do I get out of derealization, depersonalization? I asked before, but forgot. Are you joking or are you serious? Tell me, because it could be in between. You forgot. It's like somebody says, hey, I got a memory problem, but I forgot what I was going to tell you. Okay, so anyway, if you're serious, I'll try to answer it for you. He makes everything our fault. I have cried many rivers because of the things that you're talking about. A sociopath? If you are, does certain food affect how you make choices? Well, that's a good question. A child, here's the difference. You give a child a lot of sugar and they're going to be hyperactive. And their hyperactivity will not allow them to make good choices. but they can make choices. It's just that it makes it harder because it makes it more impulsive, but they have the ability to make decisions. No, I'm serious. I have had it for 6 years. Can't shake it. It's depersonalization is something that the mystics would love to have. Let me give you an example about that. If you have depersonalization, you should get professional help. Depersonalization, what it means is a condition that's very scary because you think that you're losing an awareness of who you are. You begin to, some people in depersonalization, sometimes they have an out-of-body experience. So it's really very difficult. But I'll give you something that was very interesting with monks. This person had depersonalization for years, and he would end up depersonalizations and out-of-body experiences. So he would go to the emergency room 3 or 4 times a month, and he was Jewish, a lot of guilt. Catholics and Jews have a lot of guilt, so a lot of things were going on. So he was told, look, there's these monks, these Dominican monks, who can teach you meditation, and it might be able to help you. Okay, so this guy goes, and this is an actual story, a real story, and he goes and he learns to meditate. And when you meditate, if you don't know what you're doing, it can actually trigger the depersonalization. So he is left in a room, he starts meditating, he starts depersonalizing. So he calls one of the monks and says, come here, I'm depersonalizing. And the monk says, what's going on? Well, I'm feeling like I'm out of my body. I'm losing identity of who I am. I'm beginning to flow in a way that I can't tell who I am and what the world is. And he said, hold on. He brings about 3 or 4 monks back, and they say to him, how the hell did you do that? We've been trying to do that for years. The moment they said that, depersonalization stopped. Why? Because they recontextualize it into something that is actually good. You want to learn it. So depersonalization requires help, but also there's some techniques that allow you to navigate the depersonalization. So first, get professional help, and if that doesn't work, then there's some techniques, some things. First, go to some of my videos and my books that talk about it indirectly, not specifically directly. I've had a client with 5 different personalities. Okay, you got to be careful with the multiple personalities because a lot of times it's hysterical. So you have to be able to differentiate which is which. And some of the things about some of the things that are really interesting in the multiple personalities is that when it's a legitimate multiple personality transfer, sometimes they transfer the physiology, even color of the eyes, from one personality to another. But a lot of times it's just a hysterical reaction, and hysterics can kind of believe a lot of things they do. They over-emote. So you have to be able to really differentiate between them. Carl Jung did a lot of work with multiple personalities, and he was able to work with them and reintegrate them into individuation, which is what we're trying to do here, individuate. How does one learn to love oneself? First, you have to learn who taught you not to love yourself by the way they treated you, and the way that you learn self-adulation. One of the ways that you learn to love yourself is by action. Again, ownership. Begin to do things that are morally right for you. Honesty, honor, commitment, empathy for yourself and for others. Gradually, you'll be able to develop the neural maps for a sense of worthiness, and you'll be able to begin to feel that you're worthy of things. Also, I have a video that's really important that you can go to. It's called the 3 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and you can see that on my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez. Go there, you can see it. And also in my books, I talk a lot about self-esteem. And self-esteem and morality are related. But morality is not self-righteous, where you see yourself better than others. No, I don't have any free books, and I'll tell you why. If you want something for yourself, pay for it. I have a lot of free stuff, hundreds of things. But if you want something for yourself, I suggest that then you save your money and buy the book, and that way you're getting something and you're giving something back. I'll give you another example of that. I was doing a workshop. I was going to do a workshop in Peru, and this has to do with your own self of honor and so forth. A workshop in Peru, and I can't remember what I was charging, but it was a lot of money for Peru, and it was 6 months before the workshop. This person wrote me and he says, I'm a peasant from the rural areas, and I can't afford your workshop. Can you let me in free? I said, no, you don't come in free. Save your money. You have 6 months to save your money. and you can do it. And if you don't have all of it, we'll let you in with whatever you saved. That's what you're going to do. That's called agency, taking responsibility. Well, I forgot about the guy. I went to Peru, to Lima, to do the workshop, and this little guy comes up and he says, "Here I am, Dr. Martinez." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm the guy that you told to save his money, and I just paid the full price, and I feel tremendously happy." That's an example. So freebies are good for a while, but take care of yourself and pay for things that you need. That's my response to you. Okay, I used to do a lot of free therapy before. In psychology, they tell you do not do free therapy without some exchange, because it creates a cognitive dissonance that if you do something free, it doesn't matter. So I started then charging people. Stopped because it wasn't working. They weren't getting anywhere. They would not show up. They were late because there's no exchange. It's not just the money. There's no exchange. So I started charging people what they could afford on a scale. And then when they started making more money, that worked. I had one person that paid me $1 a session, an addict, $1 a session, and $1 a session. He got a job, started paying more. So it's very, very important that you take responsibility for yourself and don't go in as a victim. Go in as, I can make it. I can make this happen. It may take me longer. When you buy the book or whatever it is you're going to buy, it'll be a thing that you're doing from agency. I did it. And that's information that tells you, before I was asking for freebies, now I paid for it, and I have the same right as everybody else has. So it doesn't help the client at all, at all. It just teaches him to be a victim and not to take responsibility. Oh, look, I had a bad life. Well, a lot of people have bad lives. What are you going to do now with your life? Responsibility. And that's what creates a moral compass. I do sessions, yes. If you want to book a session, you go to biocognitive.com, my website, and I have consultations, mentorships, and all kinds of things. Oh, wonderful. Look, this person said a wonderful thing here. Monique, my husband always buys me everything. I bought your book with my own money. Congratulations, Monique. That's what I've been talking about. If your own body becomes a prison for your mind, how do you live an enjoyable life? By learning, what is the prison? Is it a prison of nostalgia, a prison of hatred? What is it? And you're imprisoning yourself because you do have agency. If you don't have agency, you say, well, I'm in a prison of my mind. Yes, take responsibility. Begin to change with help. If you need professional help, fine. But do it. You have free will and you have agency. That's very important. Thank you. Somebody says, seems interesting, but I'm learning and grateful for your time, honestly. Well, thank you very much. Welcome for being here. But make sure that what I'd like from you is for you to follow my page here and to share the work. That's what I would like from you. That's your payment here. You share the work and you follow it. Why? One, because you'll be notified when I'm on, and you can decide, your agency can decide if you want to be on or not. And also, I'll be able to reach more people. When I hit 10,000, I'm allowed to do more things than now. Plus, I'm able to reach a larger audience, and the information gets out. So it's very important. My books, The Mind-Body Code, The Mind-Body Self, are on Amazon. You get them anywhere, but Amazon's the cheapest and fastest. And you'll see, it's really good stuff. They're both bestsellers. So what I'm asking you to do here is to, number one, welcome you, and number two, to follow my page and to share it. Share it. We have thousands of people because of you, because you're sharing it with your social media and because you're following my work. So it's getting close to 4,000 now. We need to get to 10,000 so I can offer more. So thank you for being here. And if you have other questions, I'll try to answer them for you. Let me take a breathing break and drink some water. You're listening to very soft Indian bamboo flute. You're not listening to strong music degrading women. No, this is a way to bring serenity to your immune, nervous, and endocrine system. What do you say to this thought just had? I felt the need for parents' guidance momentarily. Can you be more specific to see if I can send that? Do you have audiobooks? Yeah, I have. My books are in audio. Go to biocognitive.com and click on my books, and I have an audio. I have. It's called The Mind, Body, Self. It's not the same as the book, but it's very good. It's a 6 discs, and some of them just audio that you can download. So if you like audio, there's no excuse. It's Kindle. It's in every possibility there of the Mind, Body Code and the Mind, Body, Self. How do you know you're a good person? By your actions. It's not by your pronouns, it's by your action. Pronouns don't matter. You can call yourself anything you want, but what matters is your character, independent of what you call yourself or who you are. You are your character. And you learn by using the moral compass that I'm teaching here. How honorable am I with myself? How willing am I to be able to tell somebody that you're sorry that you made a mistake? Sociopaths never say that. They only say it to get something out of you, but they don't really mean it. So you find out who you are by your actions. Your brain will let you know if you're a good person by your actions. So let's say you haven't been a good person. All right? Your actions will teach you you could be a good person. Surround yourself around good people. Begin to act with goodness. And after a period of time, 6 weeks, that's what the brain requires in order to make some changes. You begin to see, hey, not only am I acting like a good person, I feel like a good person. Let's see, I'm a middle-aged adult woman and just felt the feeling, let's see, I lost it there. Just feel like, to have guidance. Well, if you need guidance, then look into yourself and get professional help. How to get energy? My anxiety and depersonalization have me drained all the time. Number one, get professional help. Number two, do meditation, do Tai Chi, do walks, and find out under what conditions do you depersonalize. And also find out, because many of the depersonalizations are protections against some kind of abuse in childhood, physical, emotional, mental, especially sexual abuse. So that has to be dealt with. So depersonalization is wanting to get out of you, wanting to get out of self. For what reason? Self is not comfortable. Self is not safe. With itself, learn not to be comfortable or safe. So, anyway, some questions I can't answer because if I don't know your history, I can't give you. I'm not diagnosing here. I'm just giving you general information. I'm not doing psychotherapy here. It's not ethical. Yeah, I'm a clinical psychologist, but you only do it with people that you work with. So I'm giving you general ideas here of what is a moral compass that you develop. And the immune system can tell the difference. And I'm going to tell you again. Some of you who followed me already heard it, but it's good to tell you again. Aristotle, about 2,300 years ago, said, the Greek philosopher said that he was a student of Socrates. A student of Plato, sorry. Plato was Socrates' student, and Aristotle was student of Plato. Okay, so Aristotle said, the hedonic life is not enough. Hedonic means pleasure for the sake of pleasure. And the ultimate of that would be drug abuse or any abuse of anything, abuse of sex, abuse of pornography, whatever. The excessive dysfunctional behavior. He said, just the hedonic life is not enough. There is the Eudaimonia life, and it doesn't mean demo. Eu means good in Greek, and daimonia means spirit, so good spirit. So he said that eudaimonic life is better, which is a life of meaning, service, and purpose. When you draw pleasure from having meaning in your life, from having purpose and from having service, you're going to be a better person. Guess what? 2,300 years later, immunological tests have been done with psychoimmunology, and they measure something called CTRA, conserved transcriptional response to adversity. These are a set of genes in your immune system cells that have to do, about 21 of them, that have to do with anti-inflammation, antiviral, antibodies, which means that if CTRA is working well, it's going to be working against kind of any adversity like stress or pathogens or whatever. So they measure the two, and they measure the people that were hedonic and the people that were eudaimonic. The people that were eudaimonic, like Aristotle suggested, had a better CTRA than other people. Although both people, when they measure the level of pleasure, they both reported the same level of pleasure. So the immune system could tell the difference between the two, even though subjectively you couldn't tell which one was which. In your opinions, why don't other psychologists, what about what, you didn't finish it, why don't other psychologists what? And I'll try to answer that for you. So let's see over here. What kind of psychology would you recommend? Well, yeah, they're clinical psychologists, which I am. I'm a clinical psychologist. Clinical psychologists work with mental health issues, depression, anxiety. I'm a neuropsychologist, and I work with brain damage and psychoneuroimmunology with autoimmune illnesses and all that. So, but it depends. If you have, for example, family issues, you can go to a therapist or a psychologist who specializes in family or relationships or individuals. So you can look around and ask them what their expertise is. Don't be afraid to ask. You're a consumer. And then find the right person and see how it works. Okay, what are we talking about? We're talking about your moral self. That your moral self will affect your immune system, your nervous system, your endocrine system. And morality is not self-righteousness, thinking that you're better than anybody else. Morality is more than right and wrong. It has to do with your sense of justice, with your sense of service, with your sense of fairness, your truth, your ability to apologize when you're wrong, taking responsibility for what you did, and rather than punish yourself, grow from it. That is what I'm talking about, the moral compass. Just downloaded your book on audio. Great, very good. You can start on it, and it's gonna be really good. D Love, I think D Love. I couldn't read it very well because it's white on white, but I think that's D Love. Could people studying? I'm not sure what you're asking there. Could people studying that make you feel targeted, and if so, when is enough? Be a little bit more specific and see if I can explain it. The topic for today, again, is your moral self. Developing a moral compass so you know how to navigate yourself so you don't get lost somewhere. And it has to do with you having to take responsibility for yourself. Music too loud in the background? Is it too loud? I don't know. Doesn't seem too loud to me, but let me know. If you think it is, I'll try to bring it down. But it's very soft, actually. At least what I'm playing now, which is Indian bamboo flute. By the way, it's very, very relaxing, and that's why I have it. Okay. Let's see. My advisor put me in a social work program if I want to open a clinical practice. Well, it depends. If you want to open a clinical practice of clinical psychology, yes. A clinical practice of social work, yes. It has to be on your specialty, what you're doing. Social work is different than clinical psychology. They work with social systems and many other things. Clinical psychologists work specifically with psychopathology. So anyway, the music is very soft, so it is subtle. It's for you to pay more attention, and it'll come to you. It's set up that way for a reason. So, or it's not audible enough. That's okay. Just see if you can hear it. If you don't worry about it. I'm going to listen to your book now. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks for being here. But make sure that you follow and share the video. And go ahead and enjoy the book. So again, the music is very subtle. Why? To get you into mindfulness, so you can really have to pay attention to what I'm saying, and in the background. If it's not audible, don't worry about it. It's still there. The vibrations of the music are still there. So anyway, more questions. The topic is developing a moral compass, developing a sense of knowing who you are and whether you're being in the rightness of the moment or not. So it's not just being right or wrong. It's not judging people. That's not the moral compass. The moral compass is to allow you to navigate within yourself and to know if what you're doing is right, and if it has a sense of justice, a sense of fairness, a sense of truth, a sense of compassion, and all those things together will help you make a decision based on what's best. That's what the moral compass works out. And why is it so important? Because your biology responds to your moral compass. If you don't have a moral compass, you confuse your biology. The immune system has a sense of morals because the brain has a sense of morals. You know when you're doing something right. You know when you're doing something wrong. The stress hormones will come out when you're doing something wrong. When you're doing something right, endorphins and serotonin and other things come up. So it's very important. It will affect your psychoneuroimmunology. You have to have a moral compass, and I invite you to believe that you have free will. Very important. Okay, questions. If you just joined, make sure that your ticket in is to follow the host and to share the video. Very important that you do that because that allows me to reach more people. Tomorrow, this video will be up on my YouTube channel under Dr. Mario Martinez. More information about my workshops, consultations, and people are asking, just go to biocognitive.com. Can people develop a moral compass after they committed a horrible crime? Yes, you can. Actually, when you commit a horrible crime and you atone for it in the sense not of beating yourself up, but you learn from it, your moral capacity is strengthened. I know some people that have led some terrible lives working in prison. I saw some of those people, and they wanted to, for the first time, take responsibility, because when you've done something wrong, sometimes you don't take responsibility. If you take responsibility, it doesn't mean I'm going to get beat up now. Okay, I did something wrong. That's what I did. I own it. How can I learn from it now? How can I become a better person? How can I atone by the good things that I can do for myself and others? I never touched drugs. Well, good for you. How much worse can it make my mind? What, not to do drugs? I'm not sure if I understand. Can sociopaths get better? Sociopaths have a really bad prognosis, but sometimes people are misdiagnosed. It's very overdiagnosed. Some people are just irresponsible and lazy, and they lie, and they're called sociopaths. Not like that. A real sociopath is a very serious psychopathology. So first you have to find out if the diagnosis is right, and then work with them. Some will change, some will not, but be sure that the sociopath has been diagnosed by a competent professional mental health worker. Okay. What other questions do you have? There we go. With my mind anxiety, all right, how much work can drugs do to my... If you use illegal drugs, it'll make it worse for you. If you're using medication for anxiety and so forth with a professional, then it helps. But don't do any of the hallucinogens like ayahuasca and things like that without professional help, and if it's legal. Don't do it because it'll make the depersonalization worse. It has to be done, if you're going to do it, with experiments that are being done now by professionals with grants about using, for example, ayahuasca, mescaline, psilocybin, LSD, to deal with these kinds of things, but they have to be controlled, and they have to be, number one, legal, and it has to be done by a professional. So don't fool around with your drugs. Make sure that you're getting the right professional help. Okay, now, more questions here. The topic is developing a moral compass. What is your moral self and how to do it? So if you have any other questions specifically, ask me and I'll try to answer them for you. And as you know, this video will be available tomorrow in my social media channel of YouTube, Dr. Mario Martinez. Hi, Ethereal. Welcome. Make sure you follow and share. Everybody that comes here, follow and share. That's your ticket in. This is a lecture, and the ticket is share and follow. Amos Alexa, yes, good for social anxiety, but that I can't tell you because I can't diagnose you. I don't know you. You have to work that out with your psychiatrist. If it's not working, talk to your psychiatrist about doing something different. If it doesn't work, look for another psychiatrist. If you did drugs in the 60s, can it hurt your offsprings? It can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it does. Sometimes you can pass epigenetically a lot of information, cocaine abuse, but it has to be something that you really abused extensively. But just be aware that even if that happens, you can still work with your children. I always feel guilty and say sorry, I hate it. Why do I always feel guilty? Because you were taught to feel guilty. That's a way of manipulating you. It's a way of making you be what people want. What you have to do is, that's why you have to build a moral compass. So you know when to feel guilty and when not to feel guilty. I start with the mind-body code first. And then if you like it, go to the mind-body self. With all the science, why can't they inject our brains one time? Because you're looking for quick fixes, and we're too complex for that. There's no quick fix. We're too complex. Thank God. Thank nature. If not, we'll be robots. We'll put an injection, boom, everything's fine. It's not like that. We're very complex, and that's good because it allows us to grow. It allows us to love in a very special way. No, science is not going to be reductionistic. It's not going to be one gene. Doesn't work. There's no alcohol gene or this gene or that gene. There's a combination, a constellation of genes in mind and body. So it's very important. You don't want quick fixes. You're not a robot. You're a brilliant, wonderful human being that requires complexity. That's it. Okay, now, more questions. Make sure that you follow and share the video. More water because I get really dry talking so much. So, Christy just joined. Christy, are you following? If you're not, follow now. Dawn, follow. I'm talking about developing a moral compass so that you know how to navigate life. Questions are okay. That's all right. Just if they're good questions, well, I'll try to share them as much as I can. But yeah, no, don't look for quick fixes. I thank you so much for being here. I'm off. We'll start with the book this week. Wonderful. Very good. So all of you that just joined, are sociopaths violent? Some are and some not. There's some violent sociopaths and there's some passive sociopaths. They're both manipulators. One manipulates with violence and the other manipulates with more intelligent ways. But they both manipulate because they see your weakness as an opportunity to abuse you. So be aware of that. With a real sociopath, but be aware that they're overdiagnosed. There are not as many sociopaths as you think there are. It's a small portion of the population, but they sure make a hell of a lot of noise because they're really a full-time job. Okay, now more questions. If you just joined, make sure that you follow. This is House Shrink doing one of my very popular lectures now. Thousands of people coming in. We have 40, 50 people at a time, but at the end, when you look at it, several thousand. We've had up to 4,000, just really, and we're moving up even more. But I need your help with this. This is a community, so what you do is you share with others so they can see the video, and then follow the host. What do you think about people who hurt animals? That is one of the signs of initial sociopath, but sometimes also a child who has not been given a lot of control, who has been abused. They have a lot of anger, a lot of rage that they can't express to their parents because their parents are dangerous, so they express it to animals who are more defenseless. So it could be a bad sign of a development of a sociopath, or it could be something that is just functional because a person has been so hurt that they do it out of just desperation. And therapy would be able to tell the difference and help the people. So it's important to see that. What's the difference between sociopath and schizophrenia? A sociopath is really a personality disorder. Schizophrenia is a type of psychosis where people lose control of their reality. They usually have hallucinations. They could be auditory. They hear voices or there could be visual hallucinations, which are rare. Visual hallucinations are more with neuropsychological problems. They have sometimes paranoid schizophrenics have paranoid delusions, and they're very dangerous because they might think that you're a demon and you're going to kill them, and they try to hurt you. So a sociopath is not a psychotic. Sociopath is more of on the neurotic side, on the personality pathology, and a psychotic is one who is schizophrenia is one of the psychoses. Put it that way. Do you believe nature versus no? I believe nature and both together. You can't separate them. You cannot separate them. We are mind, body, culture. It's not behavior modification. It's not just cognitive therapy. It's not just affective therapy. It's a combination of mind, body, and culture. They have to be embodied. So It's again, we every once in a while we get some clowns back. You got a clown warning here coming up, so if you do it again, you're done. Or if you want to be a rehabilitated clown, then ask real questions. Bipolar affective disorder means that a person has very low affect, which is depression, and they can be suicidal or very depressed, and then they have very high mania, which they can be the opposite, and they think they can do anything in the world. Their energy's high, they talk fast, they dress with very bright colors, and then when they start coming down, they go back. So it's between very high and very low, very high and very low. Do I listen to rap? Only rap that doesn't degrade women. I don't listen to rap or any music that degrades women or anybody else. So that's my answer to your question. Okay, so what other questions are there? Legitimate questions that people might want to ask. And if you missed part of this video, don't worry. You can see it in its entirety tomorrow on my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez, and go there and follow. I have more than 500,000 people already that have gone to that. So it's really very good. Anyway, more clowns, another clown warning, and you'll be gone. Thank you for following. This is here to annoy my kids. Follow the host, very good. It's so funny, the clowns never give up. They have to get attention. They're just like little children. You're having a serious conversation. Oh, let me be a clown. Let me disrupt. Let me play with, look at my toys. So we give people an opportunity to be a clown once, and then boom, you're gone. My son thinks he is called by God. Well, you need to get professional help and find out if he's being delusional or just playing, depending on the age. But you sure need to check that out if he's serious about it. Get professional help to see if there's some delusional thinking there. It's very important to do that. And I can't tell you anything because he's not my patient. But do get help on that. Okay, if you just joined, Dr. Mario Martinez, also known as House Shrink at TikTok. Good following, thousands of people are joining, and especially people are following and sharing. You can share with your social media. You can share with Facebook or Instagram or any of the ones that you have. So Facebook and so forth. So schizophrenia, my mother had paranoia. It doesn't mean you inherit it. You have a propensity for it, but it's not a genetic sentence. It just, so you want to be able to actually develop a good moral compass to find out who you are, to check your compassion, to check the way that you deal with the world. And if you need help, then get professional help. But it doesn't mean you're going to be sentenced. Family illnesses are only a propensity to be expressed or not. It's not genetic sentencing. So be aware of that. That's the good news. Okay, those who are just joining now, Joanna, Gracie, make sure that you follow the host, and that you, if you like what you're seeing here, and that you share it with other people. We have thousands of people that join us every time I do these presentations, and all I ask you is to share it so people can get it. And when you follow, then you'll know when I'm on, and you have free will. You have the opportunity to decide to follow or not, to watch or not. But don't let anybody tell you that the science says that there's no free will. It's junk science, not real good science. It can't prove that. Does bullying in school cause mental health issues? Well, it can. If you're being bullied, it can cause some self-esteem problems. It can create some fear. Sometimes if it's bad enough, it could be post-traumatic stress disorder. So I think that needs to be treated. Samantha Louise, who's monitoring here, is doing some special teaching. She's a certified teacher and a certified biocognitive trainer with girls. She's working with girls in middle school and high school, and one of the issues is bullying, how to deal with that. So go to her page, SamanthaLuis.com. I think that's what it is, Samantha. Put it up so people can see it. And CPTSD, tell me what that is. I don't like acronyms. Tell me what it is, and I'll tell you if it is lead to early dementia. Okay, following the host, very good. Just tell me what it is that you mean by CPTSD, and I'll try to. It's some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. If you're talking about PTSD, does it lead to early dementia? No, it's nothing to do with it. Complex post-traumatic stress, no, it doesn't lead to dementia. Dementia is something completely different. It's a brain damage. How do you feel about herbal healing for mental health? Way general question, but I know it's a legitimate and honest question. Just because something is herbal, it doesn't mean that it's safe. It could be or it couldn't be. Nothing works by itself, whether it's medication or herbal or organic. Whatever you take, you have to work with a professional or on your own with other things rather than just a liquid or just a medicine, because we're not that reductionist. So whatever it is that you're talking about, become very aware of it, because sometimes some people take, for example, that's a really good question. Some people take a particular herb for depression, and sometimes that herb can have interactions with other medications that can cause a hypertensive crisis. So you have to be real careful what you're doing. Do you think acupuncture would help with mental health? Acupuncture helps, but you also need psychotherapy. Acupuncture, of course, works with the meridians of the body based on Chinese medicine. It's very good, it's very helpful, but it's an adjunct therapy. You also have to work through the behavioral biocognitive components to help you. So it is a really good adjunct. Dementia is causative from brain damage. Well, depending on the dementia, you have Alzheimer's and different kinds of dementias. And what it has to do is with the neurotransmitters that communicate with each other begin to break down. Some of them have plaque and some of them just begin to disconnect from each other. So then you begin to lose a sense of self. You begin to lose your memory. And usually the early dementia, you begin to forget where you are. You begin to forget what you did yesterday, but you remember things from 30 years ago, because old memory goes last. New memory, new learning is what begins to go. Okay, another clown here. I think you got a warning here, and if you do it again, you're done. Okay, now, so you see, these people have a tremendous sense of low self-worth. Rather than being serious, what they come is let me distract you with me trying to be cute and funny. Small mind. But we give people an opportunity. You have one warning, and if you want to change and be a rehabilitative clown, then you can begin to ask decent questions and intelligent questions, and you put your brain to use. Okay. Loss of white matter is loss of gray matter also, but it's really a loss of interaction in the neuronal connections. The neuronal connections begin to break down, and it's like one is not being able to talk to the other. So it's a combination of things, depending on what kind of dementia there is. So, but it is brain damage. It's a damage of the brain. It's not something imagined. The brain is having problems. The neurochemistry of the brain changes, and the structure of the brain changes. So it's very serious. Okay, some other questions. Does the pituitary gland affect mental health? I've heard some people well, it just depends. No, the pituitary gland has to do with growth hormones and has to do with many other things. But the pituitary gland in itself doesn't particularly cause anything. It depends on what you have. That's a very general neuropsychological question, but the function of the pituitary gland, sometimes it has to do with the production of certain hormones like testosterone and so forth, the growth hormones. People that have, for example, midget have a problem with pituitary because they didn't grow normally. So it just depends on what it is that the problem is. So it's very general, but I give you a general neuropsychological. Microdosing psychedelics has helped me tremendously. How do you feel about using psychedelics? As I said earlier, psychedelics, whether it's psilocybin or LSD or mescaline or ayahuasca, have to be done under professional help and not in a place where it's not legal, because then you could be arrested. There's a lot of research going on now looking at the hallucinogens and dealing with depression, dealing with post-traumatic stress, but it has to be done with professionals because, as you said, microdosing, and they have to know what they're doing. Don't go to somebody out there in the jungle and say, "Hey, give me some ayahuasca." You got to be careful. because if you take too much and if not done right, it can affect you, especially if you have any kind of problems with psychosis or depersonalizations. You have to be really careful with that. Sometimes it causes, as you know, vomit and diarrhea and all kinds of things. But if it's done controlled with professionals who are actually doing good science, then it's worth looking into it if the professionals accept you into the study. So thank you for asking that question. Okay, those of you who are just coming in, this is House Shrink. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I talk about different topics here, not doing therapy, but giving information to teach you how to have a better life. Today is about developing a moral compass, about individuating. Do animals have a moral compass? No, they don't. They don't have they respond to stimulus response. You can teach a dog to be aggressive or to be non-aggressive by how you teach them, how you manipulate the behavior modification. Now, some animals do have a sense of, they can sense when you're not happy and they come to you. So they sense things like that, but they don't intellectually say, okay, my master is this cognition. Sometimes actually smell that can tell them if you're down or if you're happy, and they can come to you. Now they're doing some research with animals that can detect cancer by the odor, and also that they can detect a Parkinson. So it's very interesting. They have tremendous olfactory abilities, but they don't have that cognition that they can interpret things intellectually. They may do things, but it's more reflexive and just very little cognition on that. Okay, so if you just joined, user 35555 and so forth, make sure that you follow and that you share the video. And if you came in late, we're talking about developing a moral compass for your health and your well-being, and for your immune system, which immune system responds to morals. And I don't mean being righteous perfection. I mean a sense of justice, a sense of freedom of self and others, sense of empathy, the ability to be able to apologize and own up to what you did wrong and fix it. That's the moral compass that I'm talking about. It's more complex than just right or wrong. Then I think I'm going to be finishing up pretty soon. Let's see, people, seizures, and diabetes use dogs. Yeah, I'm not sure what that question is. Okay, here's, I'm not sure if that's serious or not, so I'll just let it go. Okay, if you just joined, I'm about finishing up here. Had quite a few people. And the topic has been developing a moral compass for your individuation to become an individual who is worthy, developing your self-esteem and your health. And if you missed it, tomorrow it'll be up on my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez. If you're interested in my books, just go to my page here on House Shrink, and they're on Amazon. Mind Body Code, Mind Body Self. So until next time, thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to have you here. And if you have questions, they're always very good. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you joined me. But make sure that you share, let other people know about it. So be at peace and develop your moral compass. It doesn't happen overnight. Read my books and be at peace.